Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Okay, let's just jump right into this because we are literally watching a massive tectonic shift happen in the tech industry right now, specifically when it comes to compensation and hiring standards. If you've been paying even a little bit of attention to the job market lately, you've probably noticed things are feeling a bit different, right? The rules of the game are changing incredibly fast, and today we're going to break down exactly how and why. We're looking at some fresh, comprehensive data that reveals a deep, growing divide in tech salaries, and it is all centered around one absolutely crucial factor: AI readiness.
104%. Look, in a typical tech career, if you switch jobs and get a 15, maybe 20% hike, you're basically popping champagne. That's a massive win. But here, we are looking at a 104% median salary jump, and this staggering figure isn't some rare anomaly or a lucky break for just a handful of people. It literally represents the new baseline. It is the real-time moving of the bar in tech compensation for those who have adapted to what the market is desperately demanding.
Which brings us to the core mystery of our explainer today. Why exactly are some tech salaries absolutely doubling overnight, while others, often belonging to incredibly hardworking, talented professionals, are just totally stagnating? Just imagine two developers, right? Similar backgrounds, sitting right next to each other. One sees their market value go to the moon, while the other struggles to even get a callback for an interview. So what is the dividing line? Well, it comes down to some very revealing new data.
Okay, the new hiring baseline. We aren't just guessing about these trends or throwing darts at a board. The insights we're unpacking today come from a massive two-year assessment verified by B2K Analytics. And we are talking about a highly statistically significant sample size here. Over 12,800 professionals who went through Scalar's specialized AI and data science programs between 2023 and 2025. This gives us a crystal clear window into what companies are actually opening their wallets for right now.
This brilliantly illustrates that divide we were just talking about. Before upskilling, the median overall compensation for these folks sat at roughly Rs 8.7 lakh. Post-program, that median leaped to Rs 20 lakh. To put that into perspective, that is the 104% jump made incredibly, undeniably tangible. By strengthening their fundamentals for an AI-native market, these professionals essentially bypassed years of standard corporate ladder climbing in one go.
So, what is the why behind those staggering numbers? Well, Abhimanyu Saxena, the co-founder of Scalar, really hits the nail on the head here. He says the bar for employability has moved. Companies want professionals who can work with AI systems, not just alongside them. I really want to emphasize that distinction because it's huge. Working alongside AI might mean, occasionally asking a chatbot to help you draft an email. Working with AI systems, that means understanding the actual fundamentals, building with them, and integrating them into core engineering and data pipelines. That is what commands the premium.
Moving on to beyond just past experience. Whenever we hear about massive salary jumps in tech, there's this common misconception. People just assume, oh, these gains are only for fresh graduates entering the market, or that's just for the seasoned executive-level veterans. Actually, scratch that. The data tells a completely different and, frankly, much more exciting story.
This shift is emphatically not just a fresher phenomenon. The verified data specifically highlights the 3 to 7 years experience bracket. We're talking about mid-career professionals here. Many of the people in this study entered these upskilling programs with salaries hovering right around that Rs 8 lakh median. It was only after they took their existing experience and paired it with applied, deep AI knowledge that their earnings absolutely skyrocketed.
Amar Srivastava frames it perfectly as a bit of a reality check. He notes, past experience alone is no longer enough. The core fundamentals of being a software or data professional have fundamentally changed. If you're just relying on the legacy skills you picked up 5 years ago, you're stagnating. The market is actively rewarding updated, hands-on skills, not just the sheer number of years you've spent sitting at a desk.
Let's look at the AI salary premium. We know the median jumped 104% overall, but let's break down exactly which specific tracks and disciplines are yielding the absolute highest financial rewards. Like, where is the market actually placing its biggest bets?
Check this out. The demand is practically universal. Modern software and AI engineering saw a massive average hike of 147%. But then look at data science and machine learning with AI specialization, almost identical at 149%. This proves that whether you're building on the software track or crunching on the data track, applying an AI specialization yields essentially the same massive premium return on investment.
But hold on, it gets even wilder.
The numbers we just looked at, those were averages and medians. If we zoom in on the top quartile, the top 25% of these upskilled professionals, their average compensation hit Rs 45.1 lakh. No way, right? It perfectly illustrates the incredibly high ceiling available for people who don't just learn the basics, but truly master these new AI-native fundamentals.
And for one specific standout group mentioned in the data, the Scalar Neovarsity learners, the outcomes were even more extreme. Their average compensation blasted up by an astounding 164%, bringing them to an average of Rs 30 lakh. It just goes to show how aggressively the market compensates structured, really rigorous upskilling.
Which brings us to upskilling for the future. Because look, the data from Scalar is a fantastic micro lens, but we have to understand that this isn't happening in a vacuum. It's part of a worldwide tectonic shift in how the global workforce operates and how companies evaluate talent.
Zooming out to the macro trends for a second, the World Economic Forum's Future of Jobs report literally identifies AI and machine learning as the fastest-growing skill categories globally. But here is the most critical takeaway for your day-to-day career. Companies are actively reworking their shortlists based on these capabilities. Employers are now filtering for AI fluency before the first interview even happens. Your basic coding skills? They might not even get you past the initial resume filter anymore without that AI component.
And the workforce is already reacting to this intense pressure. According to the 2026 Human Progress Report by ETS, a massive 89% of Indian professionals are actively out there building new skills to stay relevant in this AI-driven workplace. Only 11% are sitting it out. The vast majority of your peers, your competitors, recognize the urgency. They're actively adapting right now. Structured AI upskilling is no longer a nice-to-have. It's the whole shebang if you want to keep pace.
To prove that all this effort actually pays off, let's look at who is doing the hiring. The professionals in this study we discussed saw an 89% placement rate. That is over 11,400 secured roles. And they aren't just going to small, unknown startups. The companies paying these AI premiums include absolute global giants: Meta, Amazon, Google, Apple, Microsoft, alongside top financial and consulting firms like Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, McKinsey, and BCG. These are the elite companies setting the new industry standard.
So it all boils down to one critical question for us to ponder. Will you be the one working with AI systems, commanding that new market premium, or will you let your past experience alone slowly become obsolete? The hiring bar has officially moved, folks. The data is clear, the top companies have spoken, and the massive salary divide is absolutely real. How you respond to the shift, well, that is entirely up to you. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep on learning, and I will catch you in the next one.